All right, we're back again. It's almost like I hate to be the conspiracy theorist, but anytime you're talking about some stuff, you
Yeah.
info, you're gonna have all kinds of technical issues and weird stuff happening. That was just weird. So
Yeah, definitely.
anyway, let's just jump back into it. I did have a chance to look over some of the comments. I did have one comment that said the stimulus should not be looked at as tithing monies, and then someone else had written that the church should not see a member struggling and not be willing to help that member. So jumping back into what you were talking about um, the type of training and pastoring that should be going on. So you can go back. You can go back to what you were saying.
Thank you. Thank you also very much for your patience. So yeah, there should definitely be some level of um, pastoral training that is going on. There that definitely you, in my personal opinion, at least what happened with me. This was not an industry that I just wanted to be a part of. I was called to do this, and I just feel that in order for you to really legit stick with it, in order for you to legit be able to go out here and help and heal and support those people who will be calling your phone all hours of the night. Again, Coach Toya, I know you know about that one. You have to be called to do it. That is a situation and a type of job that you have to be able to tap into a second source of strength. And if you just went on the internet or you just wanted to get into it because you liked it, I mean, where's that second strength going to come from? I just don't. I don't see what value you would be adding to people who are going to need you again for actual spiritual
Well,
purpose and spiritual.
I don't think they're looking at it's kind of like credit repair. There are a lot of people who got the memo that there's money in credit repair. So guess what? Let me start, let me join this group and get people to come in and pay whatever amount of money, and I'll get paid a kickback, and they tell me what to post, and I post it online, and that's as far as it goes. They're not going through the day-to-day consultations, that the things that
Yeah,
take me away from my family, the things that drain me, the fact that I'm people are constantly booking on my calendar, and I could be out doing whatever, and I've got to rearrange my life. Anyone who's around me knows that my life has been all about this, and so it has to be something I'm passionate about, or I wouldn't be able to do it. And I think
exactly.
the same thing can be said about pastoring. Is I think some people got the memo that, you know what, I can build a church, and I can make this could be a really good gig if I play my cards right, and I could give little or nothing, because you can't tell me that these pastors of these mega churches have the time or the capacity to take phone calls and go to the hospitals like my pastor did growing up,
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
saw them doing. As a matter of fact, a lot of these pastors you don't even get to meet. So I think that we're going about this all wrong. The church used to be a community. Now I feel like I don't know what it is. But other than something designed to take my money, I really don't. I think a lot of people are starting to feel like there's not a whole lot of value in that. So,
Hmm.
what can we do to kind of change that? Because I think we're a community people. So, I think we need the church as far as from a community standpoint, because I think it could help us raise our children. It could help provide some type of moral compass. It can start bringing people, maybe people who didn't have a lot of family growing up. You've now got family, because we knew everybody in my church growing up. It was a community thing. That's not what's happening anymore. So how can we get back to that? Or do you think we're just too far gone?
I don't personally believe you're ever really too far gone. It's just, do you really want to do it or not? It's really simple. Like I said, you really have to be careful in choosing where you choose to attend, right? Especially when it comes to a business and or a church. You have to be careful what you decide to join, because it's two different versions of it. It's the version you see on the Sunday that you come, or And it's also the version that you see, like I said, when you get a little bit more involved and you start seeing the behind the scenes. Now, every church is absolutely going to have its issues. You're not going to avoid it. Even the churches we see online, they have the mega churches, like you said, the elevations, the parks, the Church of God in Christ in its entirety. Those are booming churches. They really, really are. But when you really turn back the cover, you'll start to see that with most mega churches now, you're only being told, hey, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. Hey, it is okay. It's
You're
okay.
fine.
And
You're
it's like
fine.
there's no accountability. So of course, if I'm really wanting to just live my life how I choose to live my life,
I'm
of
gonna go
course I'm
there.
gonna go there. Like of course, and I can be able to not dress like the young king and young queens that I am. I can come chill. I can come. Now the new word is casual, but there's definitely such thing as a little bit too casual. And you can go there, and you can not only can you do that, you can go have fun. Like there's really legit no distinction anymore between these modern mega churches and the outside community, meaning the community that's not involved, it's not trying to change. Like it's a problem when I go to your church and I feel like I'm low key at a club.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the issue that the young people are having is that there's when I look at the lives of, and this is coming from some young people that I have spoken to, when I
Mm,
go into church and I look at the lives of the people who are that I'm watching in this church, their life doesn't really seem to be better. So you know what? I'm gonna just do this my way and just take a chance because
yeah,
I don't think your way is working. And the young people now are from this generation of before we were raised in a do as I say, not as I do, and don't question
yeah,
me.
definitely.
Now the kids these days are questioning everything. And if it doesn't make sense, they're not buying it. And I really don't think what we're seeing now happening in the church holds up under any type of real scrutiny when you compare it to the life that these kids want.
You literally called me out at my 16, 17-year-old me. That was my thinking because I mean, you're absolutely right. I was looking at the people at my church. I was looking at where I was currently in my life. I was looking at what others my age were doing, and I'm like, they're clearly not doing this. They're not at choir rehearsals. They're not at back to back to back services. They're not traveling, having to mime and then be on certain programs. And I live here in Charlotte, having to travel back and forth up, between Salisbury, and Concord area. Like they weren't doing that. So that turned me off. They really, really did. I mentally checked out.
Yeah.
However, when I got a little older and not even a substantial amount of years, meaning like 17, 18, I've really started to look back and I looked at the situations that I put myself in. I can't escape accountability. I was trying to roll with people that I really already knew I was not supposed to hang around with. But what did David want to do? David wanted to hang out with a minute. So when the parties was getting shot up and I'm close to getting hit, who can I really blame for that? When I'm out and I'm trying to hang out, trying to fit in, but I end up failing my freshman year in high school, that wasn't the church. That was me. That was me not putting my all into it. When my mother was trying to tell me, David, take school more serious. David, do your money better. David, make sure, you always act like the young man, I raised you to be because people are watching. When I was failing and not doing all of that other stuff, that wasn't the church. That was me. That wasn't God. That was me. So when I finally took accountability and I was like, you know what? This church may not be necessarily perfect, but it's some people in there that I know that are really legit trying to do the right thing. And if they can push through every day and, still be faithful, still be committed to what they told God that they were going to do, then I know I can do the same. And that's really what it is. I mean, it's a relationship between you and God, and nobody should be able to influence that relationship. One of the best sayings that somebody ever told me was "Stay in my lane." And when I started staying in my lane and knowing, who I am, what I am, knowing my capabilities, knowing my limits, I started flourishing. And
Okay.
just to be completely honest, the church was a big reason why I started flourishing. The same people and the same thing that I was trying to get away from are the ones that have elevated me now, are the ones that are calling me to do speaking events, are the ones that are coming and booking me for counseling sessions now because they saw the work that I had to do within me. And that's all that I wanted to just share. Like, you can't escape it. Accountability. And if you're running around with people that's not holding you accountable, you need to hang around some new people.
Okay, so we're kind of running out of time, but the last thing I wanted to get your take on is
Mm-hmm.
why are what's happening to the men? I remember growing up, there were some old men in church, maybe some younger ones that would come with their wives from time to time. But now, when you go to church, you see a whole bunch of single women.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the men? Why are men choosing to say, you know what? I'll find something else to do on Sunday?
That's a hard question. So I'm just going to answer for me. Like,
Okay.
again, I'm going to just put me on Front Street. So when I wasn't really feeling attending church, when I really wasn't, I really wasn't feeling that, it was the young lady I had in my life that was saying, no, like, you come from this, you do this, you need to go. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go next Sunday. Next Sunday came, didn't go. Yeah, I'll go next Sunday. And then I started getting slick with it too, Coach T. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Bible study on Wednesday. Like, but then those times would come and I wouldn't go. Now you have, as a woman, you have options. You have a standard that you want your man to hit. And if going to church, even if it's not the church you go to, but if he's going to his own, and if you want that man to be active within his own church, that's perfectly fine. But don't not let that go unchecked. Like, don't do that. Because if that's your standard, that's your standard. So now you can't say, well, okay, well, I'm willing to bend a little bit because, he checks off other boxes, or I'm willing to bend because, I'm tired of being single. Then you can't get mad when people think at your church that you are single, but you really.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna kind of challenge that a little bit. Well, not challenge it, but I want to look at it from a different angle
What's your
because
name?
my angle is we want to look at it as saying, you know what, well, men, maybe you're not coming, so women should hold the standard for the man to come, and if they won't come with him, then that's another reason why she should probably choose to stay single
Mm-hmm.
and not be with that man. And I think there are some deeper issues. Um, from what I have heard from different men that I've spoken to about the subject, men are thinkers. They don't operate off of feelings. And when you go to church, it's a whole bunch of feeling. It's a whole bunch of getting people in their feelings. So it's almost like you feel a high. The music
Mm-hmm.
is going, he's talking this prosperity stuff, which is making you feel all warm and fuzzy. Not a whole lot of practical application going on. And I believe from what I'm hearing men say is, you know what? The feel good stuff is not enough for me. As a matter of fact, I'm not buying into the feel good. If you can't give me practical knowledge to
Yeah.
make me a better man, then all of this is hogwash. So I think we have to be careful when we start giving women other things to add to our list of reasons to kick men off the potential dating option. Because at the end of the day, I think the church, the focus in our community, everybody's focus needs to be back to building the black family. We need to marry and have the children, and we need to raise them together and go back to where we were going before, because the way things are going right now, this is not a world for you to be uncovered. And however you want to look at that, you need to be covered somehow, and usually through a husband, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us don't have fathers. We don't have community like we used to. So you've got a lot of single women out here just struggling uncovered and not protected in any sense of the word. So the church kind of scares me, because when you hear that doctrine of, well, if he ain't going, then he's not. I think like I said, I think that's just another reason for you to check a box and say, look, I'm not dating you. I know that was another angle. What do you think about that?
Oh no, I'm actually glad you mentioned it, because I think that is one of the most important boxes. If the woman is already active in her own church, if she's already, like anchored in her church, and she's interested in a guy, and the guy is again not even going to church, period, let alone having any kind of spiritual relationship with whomever, on his own, I really think that that's definitely a huge cause to pause, because of the simple fact is that, well, if we're not putting church attendance on the list, then what are we willing to substitute in replace of church attendance? Because one of the things is that we, and I'm gonna say we because I mean obviously my sisters, I love them all, but my sisters, they already are very tolerant in a lot of different things. And I think the reason is because and I can definitely say we on this one, because I didn't grow up with the father in my home. We grow up without dads. Like you said, we grow up without even some level of a male figure that we can trust, that loves us genuinely and wholeheartedly, that doesn't want anything else. I'm gonna put that out, and you interpret it however you interpret it. But we don't have that really. So if you really hold church near and dear to your heart, and not just you coming and being present, but I'm talking about you actually coming, actually open to receiving whatever it is God has for you to receive, that is completely different. That to me is one of the boxes that definitely needs to stay on you. Because like I just said, women, they're very, very tolerant, and they're willing to tolerate a lot for the safety, for the pure reason to keep the family together. I know plenty of women, and it sucks to say this, but it's true. Women, even in my family, that are willing to accept domestic abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, all to keep the family together. And this is why I share my background of being a only child from a single parent, especially that parent being handicapped, is because I'm living proof that you can do it. You can do it by yourself, and you don't have to lower your standards at all in order to do it. Because if that man is really interested in you, he'll either adjust to your list or he won't. And if he doesn't, that's perfectly fine, because I guarantee you there's 7 billion people in the world. At least 3 billion, close to 3 are men. You have billions of other options that I'm pretty sure meets your standards, if not supersede your standard. So to me, it's just I don't have to take anything off because there's someone out there that'll either check off more, and that will be what I need. That will be what I need, not necessarily what I want. Wants and needs are different, but someone
Right.
that can be what I need, that can elevate me, that can pour into me as I pour into her, that can be, that rock when I need to be, that won't judge me, that won't hold me to this uh non-existent label of what a quote unquote man is. Nobody, it's not even a book on that. Like, if I want to cry and I want to express myself, I need to be with a woman that can understand that, and would appreciate that, and not say, you acting like a little boy, or you being a little bee. You
Other
know,
word.
like
Thought you were gonna
exactly.
say it,
And
David.
no, I wasn't gonna say, I wasn't gonna say it. But I mean,
Uh
you
oh.
where I'm coming from though, because
Yeah.
it's checks and balances, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. But that's gonna be a topic for another
Yeah.
show. I have you on that one, checks and
I
balances. See, there we
know.
go. There we
You
go.
know,
There we
we
go.
are way over time, and I knew this was going to be a topic that we would be able to talk about forever. Um, in closing,
Mhm.
what can we do to start making the church a little bit more, or a lot more, financially, to take more of a financial charge in what's going on in our community? I mean, would you say that that starts with the people who are members? Maybe it starts with them. Like, if you notice your church is not doing it, then you need to, is there a certain person maybe you need to go to, or just what can we do? What can we do to get more financial awareness and literacy in these places that blacks are the majority of their time?
Um, Search and find. If you want to learn more about financial literacy, how you can teach it to the congregation, how you can go out in the community and then plug, and establish what you learned from experts, from financial experts such as yourself, and how to bring back to the community. You will be surprised, Coach T, how many people in communities that some of our Black churches are in that don't even know the name or don't even know the pastor of that church, that don't even know that church was there. I've literally heard people say, I didn't even know that was a church. I just thought that was a building.
Yeah.
Or I thought that was like a restaurant or something like that. They don't even know half the time where we are and who we are within our community. So definitely getting out, and it doesn't take much. You can have a picnic out in the yard. You can throw some healthy food on the grill. You can easily go out and, get better acquainted with the community, because a lot of those people that's in those communities are actually what's going to be needed in order to take that church to the next level. We did the exact same thing. We opened our door to the community. The community embraced us. We embraced them. Now, all of a sudden, when it came to um, certain situations where we wanted to grow and we wanted to put on for the community did nothing but support. Why?
Support you.
Because we did the boot work. We did the groundwork. And I just think that's what it takes, groundwork, and not being afraid to voice your idea. There are so many jewels in the pews of these churches,
I
uh,
know.
but but for some reason
They're
they
not
don't
speaking.
always.
They're not
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
up because
exactly.
I don't think
They don't
I don't
speak.
think it's welcoming. And so I think it just goes back to, like, we would, where it's kind of like where you spend your dollars. If a place is not supporting you or treating, let's just say there's a lot of racism going on in this particular store, then stop
Yep,
going. And I think
yep,
it's the same thing with churches, is we need to start being a little bit, we need to start requiring more from our religious institutions. And it has to be deeper than just my mama's mama went to that church. And if you start taking your money back and saying, this is what I need to be fed, or I'm out, and more people start leaving, then that's where I think we'll start seeing a little bit more proactively, action going on in changing some of these things.
definitely. I wholeheartedly agree. Like I said, it's very important to pick and choose where you plant your roots when it comes to your church. And I look at it like this, and I would love to, in at least my portion of the interview. Thank you again so very much, Coach T, for having me. But I look at it as Black economics, right? Like you just said, your dollar is your power. But I'm going to connect that to the Black vote as well. Why keep voting for people, for parties, and you're not getting anything out of it? Why hold the church to such high standard and you not even doing the same for yourself? You're not holding the other section of people, which is the politicians, to the same standard. We have to all be held accountable for what it is that we do. If a church is not doing what they're supposed to do, that church absolutely does need to be called out by its community, by its members. If the political party isn't doing things for us after we've given them our vote, because I would much rather waste a dollar than waste a vote. I can get that dollar back. If I vote you in, I'm dealing with you for at least 2 years, for 2 to 4 years, if not eight.
I think take it a little bit further. I think the church kind of maybe needs to be on board,
Yeah,
because this
definitely
is
too.
not just
Yes.
about our vote. This is about, like you said, political power, which is in the dollar. We have to be able to finance our own campaigns,
Mhm.
because I don't care who you vote for. If you don't have, if you are not financing, if your group is not financing that campaign and that agenda, your vote means nothing.
Exactly.
So the church has become silent on issues of politics when it used to be political centers. It used to be a huge part of the civil rights, movement. And now it's kind of like, we're not going to say anything. And I think that 501c3 may have a little bit more to do with it. Not saying we have time to really talk about that, but it's like you have to think about, where is your church getting its money from?
You're absolutely right.